Let's dive into a move that has finally been validated, one that's been flying under the radar, but is shaping up to be one of the smartest offseason decisions the San Francisco 49ers have made. The 49ers face plenty of skepticism over their offseason roster changes, with fans and analysts alike questioning the direction of the team. But among all the noise and doubt, the acquisition of Bryce Huff stands out as a move that's already proving its worth, and it's generating genuine excitement about what this defense can become. Bryce Huff's journey to the 49ers is fascinating, especially when you consider how his previous season with the Philadelphia Eagles unfolded. Huff was largely inactive for the Eagles' Super Bowl victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, barely making an impact and ultimately finding himself traded away early in the offseason. That lack of fit and production with the Eagles cast doubt on his abilities, but anyone familiar with his play from his time in New York knew that wasn't the full story. His pass rushing skills, particularly in Robert Saleh's defense, were among the most effective in the league, and reconnecting him with Saleh in San Francisco could be the catalyst for a major resurgence. CBS Sports highlighted this move, ranking it within the top 10 trades of the entire offseason. That recognition alone is noteworthy, but it's the deeper context that really tells the story. Huff was a pass rushing specialist with the Jets under Saleh's guidance, a player who thrived when utilized in a system that maximized his unique skill set. The Eagles, however, deployed him in a different role that simply didn't suit his strengths, trying to use him as an outside linebacker in a four-down front position and scheme that didn't bring out the best in him. Nick Bosa, the 49ers defensive end and a dominant force in his own right, openly criticized how the Eagles handled Huff, pointing out that the Eagles never used him the right way, and expressing excitement about the 49ers finally giving Huff the role he's built to excel in. What's particularly interesting is that Huff himself was already looking for a way out of Philadelphia early in the season. He never felt like he fit in Vic Fangio's defense and was eager to find a system where his talents could be fully appreciated. That alone says a lot about how a player's success is often tied to the scheme and coaching staff around him. Being reunited with Saleh is a homecoming for Huff, in many ways a return to a familiar system where he understands exactly what's expected and how to perform at his best. Robert Saleh didn't hold back in praising Huff's abilities either. He emphasized Huff's speed off the edge and his exceptional disruption rate in pressuring quarterbacks, which often goes beyond just sacks. Sacks get the headlines, but consistent pressure that forces quarterbacks off their spots and disrupts offensive rhythm can be even more valuable. Saleh clearly sees Huff as a vital piece in his defensive puzzle, a player who can create havoc and make life difficult for opposing offenses. This move comes at a time when many question the 49ers' offseason strategy. There were moments when the team's roster decisions felt unconventional, with lots of turnover and a willingness to take on dead cap space to reset the roster. The national narrative was filled with surprise and uncertainty about where the 49ers were heading. Yet despite all that, the Bryce Huff acquisition stands out as a clear win. It's a strategic, coach-approved and player-endorsed move that adds a specific kind of pass-rushing talent the 49ers lacked. On the field, Huff's presence should also provide a boost to the young edge rushers coming up through the ranks, especially Michael Williams. Williams brings a unique blend of run-stuffing ability and emerging pass-rushing skills, but having Huff on one side and Nick Bosa on the other creates a dynamic trio that could wreak havoc on opposing offensive lines. Huff's fresh legs and specialized skill set complement the versatility and athleticism of his teammates, giving the 49ers more options and flexibility on defense. It's this kind of depth and specialization that can turn a good defense into a great one. Huff's excitement about joining the 49ers was evident in his interviews, where he talked about feeling like he's back home now that he's in Saleh's scheme again. He understands the blueprint, having spent 3 years in New York playing under Saleh, and is confident in how his role will be defined and utilized to maximize his strengths. That confidence is crucial, as it reflects a player who not only believes in the system but is motivated to thrive within it. The importance of having a coach who gets the best out of his players cannot be overstated, and Saleh has that reputation. He knows how to tailor roles to player-specific abilities rather than forcing them into a rigid scheme. That flexibility and player-first approach can make all the difference, especially for specialists like Huff, who need to be deployed in the right way to be effective. This move exemplifies that philosophy perfectly. Instead of trying to reinvent Huff, the 49ers are giving him a role built around what he does best. Moreover, the synergy with Nick Bosa is something that adds even more weight to this acquisition. Experts have suggested that Huff may possess the best pass rushing skill set, opposite Bosa since Bosa himself arrived in San Francisco. That's high praise and raises expectations that this duo could be a dominant force for years to come. The mentorship aspect is also critical. Bosa's experience and technique can serve as a model for younger players like Huff and Williams, helping to refine their hand movements, leverage, and overall approach to getting to the quarterback. And all the Bryce Huff move represents a calculated, confident step forward for the 49ers defense. It fills a gap that was noticeably present last season. The need for a true pass-rushing specialist who can consistently pressure quarterbacks and create disruptive plays. Adding a veteran presence like Huff brings balance to an otherwise young defensive line and adds a layer of experience and savvy that can be invaluable during high-pressure situations. As training camp approaches, the anticipation only grows. The blend of youth experience and coaching acumen could be the perfect storm for a defense that wants to reclaim its place among the NFL's elite. Huff's arrival is a key piece of that puzzle, and all signs point to a breakout year ahead. For fans, this move is a sign that the 49ers front office and coaching staff are thinking strategically and investing in players who fit their vision. Even if the broader offseason moves felt confusing at times, the excitement isn't just hype. It's grounded in the understanding that a player like Huff, when used properly, can change the dynamic of a defense. His speed, pressure ability, and fit within Saleh's scheme make this a move to watch closely. The 49ers might have finally found the missing ingredient to bolster their pass rush and put even more heat on opposing quarterbacks in 2025 and beyond. What makes this entire situation even more compelling is the personal mindset shift from Bryce Huff himself. Players often say the right things during transitions, but Huff's transparency about his experience in Philadelphia offers a rare glimpse into what it's like when a scheme simply doesn't fit. When he first joined the Eagles, there were expectations of a natural evolution in his game, and fans anticipated he'd replicate or even build on his previous success. But just a few weeks into the season, he already felt that something was off. That early discomfort wasn't about attitude or effort, it was about misalignment with the system. Fangio's defense, for all its complexities and strengths, didn't give Huff the kind of role where he could thrive. He wasn't brought in to do what he does best, and that disconnect became clear almost immediately. That experience appears to have sharpened his understanding of what he needs in order to succeed. Now back in a system where he knows the expectations, understands the coaching philosophy, and is surrounded by players who complement his skill set, Huff is stepping into 2025 with a completely different energy. He's not just motivated by the move. He feels rejuvenated, like he's been given a second chance to prove himself in the exact right environment. That sort of internal fire can be just as valuable as anything you see on tape. Meanwhile, Nick Bosa's support of Huff goes beyond a simple endorsement. Bosa is the kind of player who studies his peers not just in terms of performance, but in terms of mechanics, mentality, and work ethic. When Bosa says he used to watch Huff back when he was with the Jets, it speaks volumes. Elite players like Bosa don't casually mention admiration for someone unless they truly respect what that player brings to the table. His confidence that Huff is going to be used the right way here in San Francisco also doubles as a subtle critique of Philadelphia's coaching decisions. And that sort of comment doesn't come lightly from a player like Bosa. What we're looking at here isn't just a personnel upgrade, it's a cultural reinforcement. The 49ers have consistently built their defense around intelligent, high-motor schemer players who buy into the system and elevate each other. Huff fits that mold. His arrival not only bolsters the physical pass rush, but adds to the mental sharpness of the group. A guy who's already experienced both ends of the NFL success spectrum, and now brings a clear vision of what works for him and what doesn't. That kind of self-awareness is incredibly valuable, especially in a high-stakes, pressure-filled locker room like San Francisco's. The timing of the move couldn't be better. With so many young players entering the fold, Michael Williams, Melvin Lott among others, the defensive line is becoming an intriguing mix of raw potential and refined technique. Huff falls perfectly in the middle of that spectrum. He's not a rookie anymore, and while he may not yet be a Pro Bowl name on a national scale, his skills and experience give him an edge in guiding others while continuing to grow himself. The younger players can watch how he prepares, how he uses leverage, how he times his get-off, and how he adjusts based on alignment and down distance. That kind of presence in the room goes a long way. And it's not just about the technical development. There's something about chemistry that's hard to define but easy to recognize when it's there. The early signs point to Huff already meshing well with the rest of the defensive core. His comments about feeling like he's back home in the Wittenine setup reflect a comfort level that's rare for a player so fresh to a team. There's a swagger to it, a confidence born from experience, but also a deep trust in the coaching staff. He's not guessing what they want, he knows it, and they know exactly how to get the best out of him. There's also a strategic ripple effect when a player like Huff comes into play, because he's such a specialized pass rusher defensive coordinator. Steve Wilks, who's now shaping what this next phase of the 49ers defense looks like, can afford to rotate more creatively. On third downs or obvious passing situations, imagine the combination of Bosa and Huff crashing from the outside while someone like Williams stunts inside. That level of speed and penetration can overwhelm even the most disciplined offensive lines. It doesn't just lead to sacks, it forces bad throws, rushed decisions, busted protections. Turnovers happen in those chaotic moments, and Huff is exactly the type of player who can create that chaos. Let's not overlook the psychological advantage either. Offensive coordinators now have to game plan not just for Bosa but for Huff's presence on the opposite edge. That changes how they use their tight ends, how they align their backs, how often they keep someone into chip. Anytime an offense has to account for multiple elite-level threats, the field opens up in subtle ways that benefit everyone on the defense. Linebackers have more room to roam. Interior linemen get more on-and-on opportunities. Safeties don't have to cheat into the box as often. It's a domino effect that starts up front, and Huff is now part of the first domino. The beauty of this move also lies in its sustainability. Huff is still relatively young with his best football ahead of him, and the 49ers have brought him in at a time when they're aiming for both short-term dominance and long-term stability. They're not trying to squeeze the last bit of production from a declining veteran. They're betting on upside, and if the upside we saw in New York returns in full force, this will look like one of the steals of the entire offseason. While much of the offseason conversation centered around losses, the names who departed, the cap implications, the moments of confusion, the truth is that every NFL roster evolves. What separates good organizations from great ones is how they adapt, how they identify overlooked talent, and how they build not just teams but systems that elevate those players. Huff's move is a textbook example of how the 49ers are doing just that. And if you've been following the team closely, you've probably noticed a quiet sense of purpose building within the organization. They're not just talking about bouncing back, they're engineering it. Every roster move, every coaching shift, every draft decision, it's all been targeted. Huff's arrival may not have had the spotlight of a blockbuster trade or a first-round pick, but it could end up being the most pivotal transaction of the year. The impact of a high-pressure edge rusher in the right system surrounded by complementary talent, with a clear role and full buy-in from coaching, that's the kind of move that wins games in January. As training camp nears, the buzz will naturally shift to position battles, injury updates, and rookie performances. But don't lose sight of the veterans who are walking into the building with something to prove, and the tools to prove it. Huff fits that mold better than almost anyone else this off-season. He's not trying to reinvent himself. He's trying to rediscover the player who once terrorized quarterbacks off the edge in a scheme built for disruption. And now he's back in that exact same scheme, only this time with a supporting cast that might be even more talented. The 49ers didn't just bring in a body, they brought in a plan. They brought in a weapon, and they did it under the radar without fanfare but with precision. That's what winning teams do. They don't wait for perfect situations. They identify mismatches, capitalize on undervalued skill sets, and trust their infrastructure to develop and deploy talent the right way. Bryce Huff is about to remind everyone why disruption matters more than numbers, why pressure matters more than name recognition, and why fit matters more than hype. He's landed in a place that believes in him, with a staff that's already seen what he can do, and teammates who know exactly how to work with him. That's a rare convergence in this league. And for the 49ers, it might just be the move that unlocks the full potential of their pass rush, not just for this season but for the seasons to come. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. And a stunning twist that's sending ripples through the NFL rumor mill. Murmurs have begun to surface surrounding San Francisco 49ers star quarterback Brock Purdy. The 24-year-old signal caller, who has quickly become the face of the franchise, is reportedly unhappy with the current coaching staff of development. That, if true, could shake the very foundation of the Niners' future. Sources close to the situation claim that Purdy has privately voiced serious concerns over the leadership guiding the team. According to one such whisper, the quarterback was recently overheard saying, "I don't trust this coaching staff anymore." While unconfirmed, the statement has ignited speculation about potential tensions behind the scenes in Santa Clara. Purdy, who rose from Mr. Irrelevant to leading San Francisco to multiple deep playoff runs, has always projected calm and professionalism in public. However, recent on-field decisions and questionable game plans have allegedly left him frustrated. Whether it's about offensive play-calling, locker room dynamics, or deeper strategic rifts, insiders suggest that something has shifted. Could this be a momentary emotional outburst or a sign of deeper fractures within the organization? Those close to the 49ers camp insist there's no immediate cause for alarm, but others argue that where there's smoke, there's often fire. Some NFL insiders have even speculated that Purdy's camp has begun quietly gauging interest elsewhere should the situation deteriorate. While nothing official has been stated by the team or the player himself, the possibility of a rift between Purdy and the coaching staff could have far-reaching implications, not only for the 49ers season, but for the franchise's long-term identity. For now, it remains just a rumor, but one that fans and analysts alike will be watching very closely. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.